Hey, what is up, everyone? All right, today we're going to be talking about a genetic thought experiment. Basically, I know Chainsaw Man's out, I know Bleach is out, a lot of cool stuff is happening, but I seriously am too goddamn lazy to talk about any of those things. But occasionally I have thoughts about random topics, and I figured, no one reads blogs or anything, and I figured I might as well get these out in the open. So this is a new kind of section on this channel. We're still focused on anime and manga, but here we're going to talk about just like random thoughts I have. And today it's about, well, let me just jump right into it. So let's say we have, like a dude, and so this guy looks, kind of average. He's like a, I don't know, 5 out of 10 or whatever. So we're making a lot of assumptions here that don't really match reality. The point is really from this abstraction, what can you derive out of it and apply it to other places possibly? So anyway, and then let's say this is a girl who's like 10 out of 10, like super hot. I don't really care about like tits and ass, but let's say for those of you that do, like, like we got Oda, Eiichiro Oda, woman monstrosity here. Okay, and then you got the dick sucking lips. And then the coked out eyes or something. Okay, so we got a 10 out of 10. All right, so basically, here's what I wanted to get at. Okay, so let's say somehow these two are able to make a couple. So you might, or become a couple. So you might imagine that from these two, right, they have kids. And so these kids would, on average, let's say, be 7 out of 5. And then if they continued wanting, like, if they continue to mate with, let's say, hotter and hotter people, I don't know, like a very hot guy down the line with like sunglasses or something, then, then this daughter might be able to get, their next average to like 8.25 or whatever it is. Not even sure if I calculated that right. But yeah, so, and then eventually, the limit approaches infinity or whatever. I mean, not infinity. The limit approaches 10 out of 10. So you would assume that at some point, with a few exceptions, this man's family line could potentially become like a just family of supermodels. And hey, why can't that apply to the whole world, Maybe let's say if the most like bottom 10% of ugly people don't reproduce, not like it's never going to be that clear cut, but let's just say, and ugliness isn't even, or like beauty isn't, physical beauty isn't the only factor in these decisions, but let's assume they are, then one day what's stopping planet Earth from becoming like extremely just a bunch of beautiful people, So again, I know like what I'm saying has not a huge place in reality. It's kind of just, I just found it interesting. And I think it's probably applicable to other things as well. So here's the issue, right? So let's say this guy, his genetic expression or whatever, and let's assume genetics is plays a large part in what you're attracted to, and that nurture is a smaller role in this case. So this guy, let's say he has some requirements, right? Like check boxes, let's say, and then one of them is that like you need like let's say beautiful face, like boobs, and like a big ass. Anyway, basically, this guy's desires are like he has very high standards for taste, let's say. And then this girl, why would a girl like her go for a guy like this, right? Now, if we can only assume that her standards for physical appearance, so I'll represent that with an I, are not very low, I mean, not very high. Maybe she's into other things, like I don't know, personality, or maybe he just has a very, very large, long, thick hands. But anyway, so basically, this person probably is not as into physical appearance as this person, considering they got together and their relative stats. So basically, what you have is even though this guy, let's say, physical appearance 5 out of 10, this girl's physical appearance 10 out of 10, their child, oh, this guy's stats for, let's say, taste in, how would I represent taste of physical? I guess if it's taste, I'll draw a tongue. So this guy's stats for taste for physical appearance are 10 out of 10. And then this girl's taste for physical appearance, hold on, let me draw a tongue and an eye, is let's say it's 1 out of 10. Like she literally does not care. So then in the next generation, this guy and this girl's child, let's say it's a guy, So this guy, little Timmy, is gonna have let's say like physical appearance 7.5, but he's gonna have taste for physical appearance. What's the average of 1 and 10? It's like 5.5, I guess. He's gonna have taste for physical appearance 5.5. So this means that just based on probability, right, and based on like what his other preferences in the his preferred sex are, the girl that he goes for, he's not gonna filter them that hard. But as long as they're like 5.5 or above in terms of looks, he'll just go for any of them. So chances are he'll probably end up with someone around like 7 for taste. I mean, so based on his taste, the average attractiveness of the girl he'll get will probably be like around like I don't know how to calculate, like 7.75 maybe, which means this guy, despite this guy's master plan, his keikaku dori to get his bloodline to start looking like all tens. The next generation is gonna pollute it because the whole reason this guy was able to get a really hot person in the first place. I'm summarizing here, so I guess I'll use red. Summary. So the only reason in the first place that this average guy, let's say, was able to get this really hot girl is because she was not very into physical appearance. Assuming that for males and females it's like the same genetic whatever that like can be affected by like breeding, or I mean like reproduction. I have no idea if this is true, by the way. It's just an thought experiment. Then especially because he was able to get with someone hotter than him, but she has lower physical standards, I guess, then that is exactly why his own plan will thwart himself, because the tastes of his next generation will not be as stringent as his own. So why is this interesting? Well, I mean, I find it interesting partially because I mean, you could think about just like relationships you see in real life or whatever. But I guess what's more interesting is that this applies to more than just physical appearance. Obviously, let's say you have like a dude who, like this dude. He's like really thick, and he loves sports, right? So let's say his sports is like 10 out of 10. I'm not gonna actually write down all the numbers and stuff. I don't want to make this too long. But his taste in physical fitness is also like, I don't know, 10 out of 10, right? And then if you have like and then basically if he mates with someone with like physical appearance 10 out, I mean, sorry, like physical strength, like 10 out of 10, like she's got those abs, a lot. She's got those Maki Zenyin abs. So if you have someone who's a 10 out of 10, but maybe her taste for physical appearance is like 5 out of 10 or something, right? It could be like that. So if that's the case, then the next generation's taste for physical strength and fitness and so on will be around like 7.5. So the point is, at any point, I guess this example would work better if this guy was like a stick and this was 1 out of 10. But anyway, the point is like, even if you at your current generation stage with like two people, you and your partner, even if you decide to max out your child's next generations, you'll probably be thwarted by the other side's tastes. Especially if like overall, like if it's not just one trait. I'm just thinking of this now. Like if this guy like Stickman Stew, he sucks at everything, right? Like his int is low, his endurance is low, his mana is low, his HP is low. Like his mana is so low that he's not gonna be able to recharge Saber properly. If all his stats are low, but for some reason some like extremely high stat girl goes for him, and at this point I'm basically talking about like RPGs at this point. Like it's not meant to be a model that depicts reality, but yeah, so if this girl likes him, that means her taste requirements are probably pretty low. So even if this guy's taste requirements are really high and he only goes for like amazing girls like this or even better, and those are like glimmering stars, doesn't matter, because the next generation will have a like more improved stats than this guy. So like intelligence will be average, I guess, endurance, whatever. So that'll be a big step forward. But it also cancels out his high tastes. So then his taste will also become average. That's a tongue. And so yeah, I mean, I think I've driven the point home. So what can we draw from this? Why is it important? I guess the most important lesson from all of this is that you can't just think about like how generations of like creatures that breed together. I'm not just talking about humans, of course. It could be like any mammal, or not any, like any breeding organism, I guess. Basically, their own self-selection can only go so far, because the selection strategy and mechanism itself that is passed down through genetics can also be warped by the partner. So ideally, like, I wonder what would be a better strategy if you in the short term go with like a really really hot girl, let's say, or let's say you have like super thick eyeglasses, right? Like super thick eyeglasses, and you want to make sure your kids like have eventually your grandkids or something don't have to wear glasses. So would it be better to go with a girl who just doesn't wear glasses at all, so she has very good eyes, or this is like glasses? Would that be the optimal strategy, or would the optimal strategy be long term to go with a girl even if she does have glasses, but this girl, her, let's say, breeding selectivity strategy is extremely focused on also getting rid of glasses. So then in the next generation, your kids might be like destined to have glasses, but this guy like is burning with the passion to get rid of glasses, you know? So there's kind of the actual traits and then the desired traits, I guess. So actual traits and desired traits. So basically, you can't only prioritize one of these if you really want a long-term, I guess, like breeding program. You're gonna need to focus on both, like the desire and the actual things that they have. So yeah, I think this is also kind of interesting, because if you buy into the idea that like empires or like civilizations and so on kind of loop like through like a rise and then collapse, and then how like this things that people select for, if it's not purely genetics, right, it could be like nurture and like culture, civilization as well, but basically, and society, stuff like that. But based on like this loop, right, I don't know, it could be interesting, like the rise and fall or the trajectory of a civilization could vary greatly based on if these kind of traits, like on which traits, because I believe like at each stage there's probably a pattern throughout a lot of civilizations for which traits we loop for. For example, at the start of a new civilization, or like at the near the end probably too, the actual traits that are desired are probably like strength, like people who have the initiative to be good military men, etc., or so on. So, and for desired traits, I haven't thought about how that would tie in. Actually, this is a bit out of my depth already, because for the first 5 minutes of this video, I was talking about stuff I already thought about, and I just really wanted to like give a voice to. But the last like 5-6 minutes of the video, I have, not really thought about at all how like this would connect to actual civilization level, like 200-year, 300-year level, like cycles and so on. So yeah, I really don't know how that would work out. So I'm gonna end the video here, because I don't have a lot more interesting things to say at this point that aren't just me going in circles. So I guess summary number 2 is, yeah, there's actual traits, desired traits, and to create lasting change, you have to make sure even when you're changing the actual traits, you have to maintain the desire to continue those traits. It's kind of like if you want one guy to like keep passing along a message, so you tell the other guy like, and let's say the message is I love you, right? And then you say I love you, also pass along the message I love you. So this is like recursion, and then basically, or like a infinite loop, I guess. So then what would you tell this guy? You can't just tell him I love you, because this guy would just stop. So then I could make a video on this, but I don't think it's worthwhile, so I'll just say it here. So yeah, if you just tell him I love you, it'll just stop here. That's why you need to tell him I love you and tell the next guy I love you. So this guy says okay, and then he will tell the next guy I love you. Whoops. And he will tell the next guy I love you. But the problem is then it stops here. So the first guy, what he actually needed to say is I love you, and tell the next guy I love you, and tell the next guy to tell the next guy I love you, right? And so eventually, if you think about it in this way, like if we're restricting the language that he can use, this guy has to keep going through infinity. Like if we want the message to go on in perpetuity, this guy will have to keep saying it forever and ever and ever. So this is kind of similar because this keep telling the next guy is basically the desire part. You need to desire for some traits to keep going along on the I don't know, the family tree, right? So then yeah, so basically this part is very important. I mean, that's all I ended up coming up with for this video. So that's all there is for now. Make sure you smash. I don't think I have my subscribe button anymore. Yeah, it's gone. But anyway, make sure you smash subscribe. And basically, my content is usually anime and manga stuff. But I think usually I have some like I don't know, maybe somewhat interesting ideas depending on what the audience is and what you guys are into. So if you guys think you're into random talks like this as well, then make sure you subscribe. If you're into my hot takes on manga and anime, make sure you subscribe. Yeah, Chainsaw Man, the first episode had some really nice shots, but it also had a lot of garbage. I'm just looking forward to seeing Aki in episode 2, and that's about it. I heard they're skipping the Muscle Devil too, which is I guess not a huge deal, but I mean, like why? Just like keep it the way it is, man. Man, Mappa, seriously, more like Crappa. It doesn't sound right. It has to be Crappa and then Mappa. All right, so Bleach. It doesn't look the line art. It doesn't look as great as I thought it would, but you know, like, but overall, it's like really dope. Anyway, look, oh, and Mob was so boring for the first 2 episodes. I forget how it was in the manga when I read it, but like I can't wait to get to the exciting parts. Anyway, so look, I really shouldn't keep you guys here any longer. Thank you for watching and peace out.